My name's Valentin, and in the play Desperate Times, I play the character of Man. So I've done a few projects with Adam in the past, and so when he spoke to me, I knew it was going to be good writing, and it's a great opportunity, obviously, to develop your skill set coming out of university for me. I think the story of this main character's son, how he undergoes a change and sees some resistance in his process, is applicable to everyone's sort of journey, and I guess that's what draws people to theatre in general, and that's what makes this story quite moving. I've enjoyed the read-throughs when you don't quite know yet, when you know there's been a rewrite, but you don't know what's been rewritten, and you're just sort of discovering it as you read it. That's been the most fun part for me, thus far. I think I'd probably play Johnny's character, just because I think it will be quite fun. I don't think I could do it as well as Sean does it, but it just seems like such a fun time to have. Well, I'm hoping obviously that the run at the Lion Unicorn goes well and has enough attendance, and then potentially to see where it goes from there. Hopefully we can get some industry guests from there, and yeah, just for it to potentially live on, and if not, be this sort of milestone in terms of doing something that is successful and then doing the next thing. Yeah. Fresh. I would say naturalistic, just because a lot of the other stuff that I do currently is sort of less to do with like straight script work. And then probably new team, new faces sort of thing. That's 2 words, but I'm going to sort of make them one, just because it's a new team of people who I didn't quite know yet, and I haven't really worked with a lot of people in this way. Yeah. Well, it's still ongoing. I think it's just about, obviously with all the different read-throughs, every time you sort of catch something else, and then it becomes about sort of doing the read-throughs for yourself and just trying to catch all the background elements. I think the way I approach it is very much, because my character is quite multi-layered the way I see it, you sort of just start to catch on to that, and then, yeah, that's where it begins, and then you're able to play the scenes knowing that this is going to happen or this has just happened, and that's like the beginning stages. Probably the main theme is hope, and that sounds mega cliche, but the idea that change is good. I know there's a quote of like, so change isn't necessarily good, but for things to get better, they have to change. And that's kind of this, because there's this main character who wants to change, but doesn't know how. And I guess that, and obviously to do with all the themes of like homophobia, which are ever current, and that's probably sort of the main line through the play. I think it's funny that people like to make fun of Ariana for various reasons. That's such a rogue thing to say, but I think Abdi and Ariana have such a like relationship where they just poke at each other, and I'm just there. I'm just sort of a spectator to that performance within the rehearsal process. So I'm going to say that. Ariana was late today, so note has been taken. I feel like it's similar in the way that all theatre like tells a story, but it's just the themes. And also the character, I think, is quite unique in having a certain background. I think my character, Man, is a certain way now in the time of the play because he was a different way in the past, which I think when I first started the process, I was trying to play Man like he used to be, but it's actually not about playing how he used to be, it's playing how he was now, and I think it's quite a really interesting character, which is obviously new because I haven't played this character before. I hope that the audience, first of all, comes to see the play, hopefully. Please book your tickets now. It's desperate. Please book your tickets now to Desperate Times. I hope they walk away with a sense of hope. There's sort of 2 things. First of all, there's the message itself, which is about specifically in terms of accepting yourself and sort of battling this homophobic sensibility which goes around everywhere, which is the specifically political one. And then within the audience itself, even if they're not gay, even if they're not anything to do with anything queer or trans or anything, that they are able to see themselves in a more generally accepting light and not specifically through society's light, which I think this play shines a light on quite well. I think there's a tendency for me specifically to really retreat into yourself because everyone is very good and everyone's very on it, and so yeah, I get very scared, and I think probably the advice there is just to stop thinking about that and just sort of go for it. I guess strong and wrong, ideally just strong, but just take it and run with it and give it your all. If it's wrong, then trust that someone will tell you, or they won't, or you'll figure it out that it wasn't right, but just go for it, yeah. For me, this is the first project that is being performed at a theatre in London. So I've done a lot of work at university. I go to Brunel University in London. I've done a lot of performances with that at the university, but it's the first, I've said university so many times. It's the first time that I'm doing a play in London, so for me, first of all, that's just a great experience. I don't think personally that I necessarily aspire to being just an actor as a career. I enjoy acting, and if it turns out that it works out, then that's great. But for me, I think it's more about just getting a foot into the industry in general. I'm quite interested in directing and the sort of behind the stage areas of creative input. So that's more where I'm headed. So I think my aspirations aren't necessarily to use this as a sort of springboard to become an actor, but then if that happens, that happens. But it's more about venturing into London, which is so big and so full of culture. Can I ask a really silly counter question? Define condiment.
You define condiment. Yeah, that's what we're going to throw it back at you. Can you tell us?
Oh dear, I didn't grow up in England. I have a vague sense. What is my favourite condiment? Usually my go-to is ketchup and mayonnaise, and you put them right next to each other, and then where they meet, that's my favourite condiment.
Sweet spot.
Yeah. I think it's all about the stories you tell yourself. That's not very funny, but I've thought about this a lot, and it's all about how you frame it in your head. Like it's whether you think you're good at this or bad at that or this and that. Like it is what it is. The reality is reality, and how you frame it is everything. Cats, 100%. Cats just know. Like dogs are always, I love dogs, but I feel like I'm not very close with our cat at home because I'm not home that much, and it's sort of my sister sort of feeds her. But when I'm in a bad place, my cat knows, and the cat comes over, and it's not happened often, but just there. To graduate successfully and to start to begin to think about what I actually want to do with my life. That's such a vague goal. I span different media types. So I study film and theatre at university, so I'm interested in both those things. I'm leaning right now more towards theatre. I'm very interested in non-naturalist sort of post-dramatic theatre because you're able to express ideas in a much sort of weirder way. But I do love a good big film. I'm definitely still making films. I'm just leaning more towards the liveness of theatre, I think, especially after COVID. Amazing. Thank you so much. I feel like I wasn't very funny.
Thank you. That's okay. You didn't have to be funny.
Cool.